This is a ghost town known as Palisades Del Rey, once a small beachside community now fenced off from the general public. Like a gated community without the community, basically.
Okay. It's a gate.
It's the gate, yeah. This is the town. You're looking at a gate, that's the whole town.
A ghost town is the notes inside of the gate.
It's a community that's not there.
That's what there it is.
There it is. To this day, this area has paved streets, streetlights, fire hydrants, street signs, and land where homes were once built and then later demolished. This area is west of LAX between Imperial Highway and Playa del Rey and just across Vista del Mar from the beach. You may have driven past Palisades Del Rey dozens of times, not realizing there was a story to tell. Well,
so the streets are still here or there?
They're streets are around it still function, but this little area is cordoned off with paved.
Cordoned off.
It's cordoned off with like paved streets.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not just tarmacs from LAX? Oh, the streets are used by jumbo jets. Yeah.
That's why they're extra big. That's why they're like 6 lanes deep. So a plane. It all starts with a real estate company named Dickinson and Gillespie, who established themselves in Minneapolis and came to Southern California in 1921. The president of the company is a man named Fritz Burns, who is said to have a knack for property development. He leapt into action in LA, buying up and selling acreage as quick as he could. It said that he'd offer rides on the company's biplane, a kind of like new invention, to prospective clients. So like, look at the plan. You know, you can't talk on a biplane, but whatever, you know what I mean. With this level of showmanship and pizzazz, Dickinson and Gillespie managed to sell 36 subdivisions of the LA area in 3 years, like little nook and cranny areas like Hollydale Gardens, Alta Manor, Orange Blossom Manor, Poppy Fields, Highway Highlands, and Hollywood Laurel Grove. These like
I'd live in Highway Highlands.
Yeah. That sounds pretty cool. It sounds like a country song. It sounds like something that Townes Van Zandt would sing about. It's said that he oversaw 50 successful residential developments in the LA area by the end of the 20s. He would later become the man in the 70s would become the man who developed Panorama City.
Oh, that's weird.
It's very weird.
What's his name again?
Fritz Burns.
Fritz Burns. I figured his name would be Panorama.
Johnny Panorama.
Johnny Panorama.
Yeah, Johnny Panorama.
He could see all around. That's weird. It wasn't Panorama City like a car, like basically built around the car factory that was over there?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look into Panorama City at all. Because it's still there, you know. It's not a ghost town.
No, it's a ghost town.
No, I don't even been to that mall.
It's a ghost town to real estate people, okay?
So what if it's North Hollywood's older brother? Grosser older brother. That's not true. I don't know anything about it. So as we learned a few episodes back, LA was going through an oil boom.
Hey, North Hollywood's gross too.
Not the grossest, but certainly in the middle somewhere.
I mean, it's not as gross as Hollywood.
It's not as gross as
a little gross. This grossness is just right.
So we learned a few episodes back, LA was going through an oil boom in the 20s thanks to a number of big oil strikes like Signal Hill or Venice Beach or Doheny downtown oil well. People all over LA, specifically along the coast, were buying up land big enough for a house, but were instead using it to drill for oil, like as many as 3 or 4 wells on a property. We learned this many times over. Many people were doing this. Simultaneously, there was also a housing boom with people buying up a land big enough for a house to put a house on it. Yeah, they were drilling for houses. You can have like four houses looking for bigger houses. Along the coast, homes and oil derricks were competing for space. And I think we brought this up many times before, but the rich were not moving along the coast because there were so many oil derricks. It was considered like a bad area.
Okay.
But that would change with one of the most contentious areas.
That would change with surfing.
With surfing, with the invention of the Beach Boys.
When they finally struck the Beach Boys. We got a mic here. He's a gusher.
Unfortunately, he's a gusher.
He's a gusher for Trump.
Yeah. It said, or at least one article said, that what caused a housing boom along the coast was in 1921 or 1924. I read both. When Dickinson and Gillespie purchased and further developed Playa del Rey. So they started like trying to actively push like this is an area for the elite, for the Hollywood people to live on the coast. Right. Dickinson and Gillespie advertised this coastal area as a postcard beach dreamland with sand dunes, lovely cottages, and the stone's throw from the creeping waves of the Pacific.
Creeping waves
of the Pacific. The southern portion of this postcard acreage makes up Palisades Del Rey, making up about a stretch of about 3 miles. In 1925, Dickinson and Gillespie held a contest to name this subdivision of coastal land. I guess like Palisades Del Rey is the whole area, and it mostly becomes Playa del Rey, but this little area we're going to be talking about today is not necessarily Palisades Del Rey. It gets a new name. Okay. The winner of this contest was A.F. Halbrick, who, along with his $1,000 prize, got to see his name enter city history, Surfridge.
Okay.
So this area that we're even talking about is called Surfridge.
And then the name was fallen out of LA city history because
Well, they're kind of
it's a forgotten city.
basically, yeah. We just scrapped the whole thing.
He's the
Surfridge,
staple center of LA history.
Surfridge is now crypto.com.
Crypto.beach.
Yes, cryptobeach. .usa.
Crypto.com/beach// surfs up with a hyphen in between surfs and up.
The,
It optimizes their SEO, which is surf. Surf enough, Olay.
Because we're in California. When in California, this won over 62,000 other titles.
62,000. How many? There were that many people in the city that were entering contests. No,
I wonder how many people entered many times.
Oh, right.
Yeah. No,
It was 4
name it.
people.
Yeah, name it Hollywood again. Surfridge was chosen for its brevity, ease of pronunciation, appropriateness, adaptability to advertising purpose, and because it most satisfactorily tells the story of a new wonder city at sea.
Is Surfridge is what it's called?
Surfridge.
I wouldn't know. I don't know if that's necessarily easy to pronounce. Surfridge.
It also sounds like Surfridge.
Surfridge.
A Surfridge.
I didn't know Surfridge was here. Please let me chill some stuff for you.
It's Sir Refrigerator to you. The entire area began to get...
He opens up his top door and hits you in the face.
Hits you in the
with
face,
it.
yeah. The entire area began to get developed in the
I challenge you to a cool.
Thank you. That's very funny. I want to delete the whole thing. The entire area began to get developed in the mid-20s with homes being custom built and, like I said, focused the clientele on being the rich Hollywood elite. This included Cecil B. DeMille, who had a house there, actor Charles Bickford, who I never heard of before, and voice legend Mel Blanc, among many others.
Cecil B. Surfing, by the way.
The area quickly got populated and filled with lavish Spanish-style homes. At the base of the bluffs, Burns built the Delray Beach Club, and to further lure buyers to Surfridge, the company donated land for a university to be built.
Oh, wow, this is like its own city.
Yeah.
as this episode
As you're
is.
learning, yeah. This donated land became Loyola Marymount University. Harry Culver of Culver City.
That stretched really far then.
I think they donated land
I guess
that
not.
wasn't. Maybe they owned land elsewhere. It's not close to this, I don't think.
Yeah.
Harry Culver of Culver City and Burns also jointly donated 100 acres of the bluffs west of Lincoln Boulevard to build a Lutheran college, which never came to fruition.
Oh,
I wanted to go.
Now I just have to go to Methodist college.
The early years of Surfridge were successful, selling $4 million worth of residential property in the area, roughly $50 million today. Part of the selling point for this land was that it was advertised, I don't know how true this is, as the last stretch of uninhabited coastline in Los Angeles.
Okay. I thought nobody lived on the coast.
Right.
Because of the oil.
I was kind of curious. This is like, I can't keep track of when all the oil starts happening. It's like 19s, right? And then after that, people start like, oh, maybe. I think this is when it starts to turn, if I read correctly. Dickinson and Gillespie salesmen set up tents on the sand dunes of Surfridge and sold lots for $50 down and 36 monthly payments of $20. Because of the coastal air, the exteriors of the homes could only be stucco, brick, or stone, since metal and wood would erode under the coastal air and everything. Frame structures were prohibited. The planned business district would be at the focal point of 5 major highways at the rear of the development. By 1924, 800 families purchased home sites at Surfridge.
Wow. And they were all Mel Blanc characters, different voices of Mel Blanc.
He had a house for, it's how he stayed in character, his method. He bought this is Bug's house, a little different. The year was 1929, and Fritz Burns bought out Dickinson and Gillespie, the company he worked for. Nothing is going to stop me now in 1929. Oh, except the stock market crash. And with that, the self-made millionaire foaming at the mouth with optimism was instantly broke. His wife divorced him. He had to sell.
He shouldn't have invested all of his love in the stock market. Stock market. He had to sell his mansion he built in Surfridge and lived on a tent on the beaches of Dockweiler, where he could see his mansion from. He could see like the IRS taking brick by brick out of it.
Luckily for Burns, he was able to put enough money together to buy up the athlete shacks after the 32 Olympics were done, and he was able to rent those out. I know,
the famously well-built Olympic villages he was renting out. So that's like around where what's it called park is.
Oh yeah, you brought it up one time.
God, what is that park called? Why can't is it Heidi Fleiss Park? What is it? What is that? Oh my God, what is it called?
I don't remember. You did research on it.
No, it's not Hermanson. What is it?
LAmeekly.com and look it up now.
Your source for all information.
Yeah. Kenneth Hahn.
Kenneth Hahn.
Kenneth Hahn.
Not at
State
all
Park.
the name I was thinking
Nope.
of.
Not even close.
All right, go proceed.
Okay.
I don't know what I was saying about it.
It was close to that. He owned the shacks.
That's where there was like an Olympic village.
Yeah, Olympic Village was there. In 1934, he shot back to the top when oil was discovered on one of his properties at Manchester and Delaney. He went on from there to develop Windsor Hills, West Side Village, and Toluca Woods, which all sounds like budget versions of the towns we know.
I think Toluca Woods. What is Toluca Woods?
I don't know. I didn't look into it.
It must be a portion of Toluca Lake.
Yeah.
It's next to Toluca Lake, the Toluca Woods. It's where Bob Hope goes to
camping and stuff.
He goes camping and makes demonic sacrifices in the Toluca Woods.
I need to live for another 100 years.
Wait, okay. I don't want to make a cheap joke about Bob Hope. Is he the one? No, yeah. Bob Hope was the cheap one?
No,
or
Jack Benny was the cheap one.
Okay. I once again apologize
the
for
Jack Benny estate.
To the Jack Ben. No, I don't apologize to that cheapo. I apologize to the generous estate of Bob Hope once again. I didn't mean to say he was cheap.
Yeah, or that he sacrificed people.
No,
I should probably not say that.
I stand behind.
For Surfridge, property sales dipped during the Grand Old Depression, but picked back up in the late 30s and through the 50s. Around the late 20s, before Burns went bust, a 640-acre lot of land just across the way was now functioning as an airfield. This was Mines Field, which we did an episode on, and it was a perk at the time because air travel was not commercial, and because people like Amelia Earhart and Charles Lindbergh would fly in, that was exciting. You get air shows and stuff. Like, so living by the beach, but
you could hear his slurs from your back patio.
Yeah, you would get leaflets bombed about eugenics. So they would have air shows.
Did he say cruise or another word that sounds like that?
This airfield would be Surfridge's undoing.
Okay.
Because,
so how close was it? It was like...
I've driven to Surfridge before thinking I could sneak in. Surfridge is on your right. You're on a big sort of highway type road. And then literally on my left is the gates to go to LAX. Okay. They're across the street from
that's
each other.
what Dante had to pass through.
It's one of the rings.
One of the ones for the dwarves.
Yeah, whatever. Sticks. He had to throw the ring and sticks or something. I don't remember. I didn't really.
Dante's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Because while for decades many residents learned to coexist with the noise from propeller planes, jet engines were impossible to ignore. Right. During the jet set heydays of the 1960s, the implementation of jet engines on commercial planes made life in Surfridge almost unlivable.
It's funny that like all of these, like the fight of... there's one thing, the pollution fight of the flights going, 100 feet over this house and they're dumping jet fuel or whatever. Yeah. But then there's still the fights of like people in the hills of Sherman Oaks are like, rearrange the flight path of Burbank. I can't be in my spa at 2 p.m. on a Monday and hear airplanes going over.
I can't. How am I supposed to meditate?
Yeah.
If I can hear a plane. It sounds like because they were directly under the air path, their entire lives revolved around sounds of planes.
Well, good thing they solved that.
As we learned before, the LAX, the International Airport, kept growing to accommodate the major metropolitan area Los Angeles had become. And as we learned, as soon as they were done renovating, the time it took to add things was enough time for the problem to progress. So another additional renovation would occur and so on and so on. And the needs for runway space grew and grew. I remember you talking about it would take them 5 years to put another lane in a bigger parking lot. By the time they had fixed that, the population had doubled once again.
Good thing they solved that problem too.
This was the mid 60s now, and the needs of LAX reached an all-time high. What LAX needed was Surfridge. Many residents were so fed up at this point, they were happy to leave. So the city of Los Angeles, pushed by the Department of Airports, condemned the beach town of Surfridge under the power of eminent domain.
So was this still a rich community?
No, I don't. I feel like it initially started that way.
That makes more sense because I was thinking like, wow, they took out they went
killed
left
Mont
instead
Blanc.
of right. They put Dead Man's Curve right in the middle of his road just to get rid of Mel Blanc.
It was actually just a painting on a wall of Dead Man's Curve, and he fell for it.
They hired this guy, Weil something, and he gets the job done.
Yeah, they sort of they're not doing business with Acme anymore. So they
were bought out by Kellogg. Yeah.
Surfridge was condemned. The city puts eminent domain in, so this gave them the power to buy all the homes in the area, gave residents the money to move, and then they demolished all the homes that once occupied this area. An entire history lost to the memory posted on blogs. Now is the only way this is remembered. The area is now surrounded by a chain link fence, which is pretty much impenetrable to get through. Although I have no idea.
What do you need? Like clippers or something?
Like a trampoline?
Impossible.
It'll never happen. happen. But I don't know how people are getting in there and taking pictures, but some people seem like they're getting in there and taking pictures. You can walk around the perimeter, though, and kind of get an idea of like, oh, that used to be like an area. LAX has seemingly never done anything with the space other than fly planes over it. The cement streets remain, although cracked with weeds coming through them. Lane strips and sidewalks let you know that humans were meant to be kept safe here. Weeds are knee-high. Lampposts stand without any light coming up for decades.
That's weird that there's still lampposts.
There's still lampposts, yeah.
A plane could hit that.
The way I fly?
Low and slow. That way I don't get picked up on the radar.
Yeah. They'll think I'm a UFO or whatever they're calling them now. But to say there's no life in Surfridge is incorrect, because this cordoned off space, 3 miles of it, are now a protected habitat for the federally designated endangered species, the El Segundo blue butterfly, and like 90 other plants and animals. The butterflies survive.
Why can't we just break in there and step on all the butterflies?
I can't want to throw rocks at them. You're bugs like any other bugs. I'm not supposed to smash you. The butterflies survive on coastal buckwheat that grows on 200 acres of old Surfridge. The main threat these butterflies face is the destruction to its habitat, which was by the industrialization of LAX and the Chevron refinery plant, who removed the buckwheat that the butterflies depended on. It's perhaps the El Segundo blue butterfly and other flora and fauna that is keeping the memory of Surfridge alive and making it sure we get a little weird beach ghost town in LA.